Hola guitarristas, ya sabéis que nos encanta traeros entrevistas y la de hoy es muy especial. Y es que hemos tenido la ocasión de hablar por videollamada con el grandísimo Meola. Nos habla de su último disco, 24, pero no solo de eso, también hablamos de a qué hora le viene la inspiración, por ejemplo, cuál es su relación con el jazz, cómo encaja su música en la actualidad en la que todo es tan fugaz y, por supuesto, como no podía ser de otra manera, una entrevista hecha desde España, dedica unos minutos a hablar de Paco De Lucía y los increíbles momentos que vivió junto a él. Así que nada más guitarristas, este es Meola hablándonos de su último disco, 24.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us with Guitarristas. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
And you are here with a new record, which is called 24. Tell us a bit about this new album.
Okay, well, it turned out that now it's a double record. It began the beginning of 2020 when COVID was very strong, and I felt like I have to do something in this time because there was no touring, there was no shows, everybody was home. So, in a way, it was very therapeutic for me, and to get away from the news, which was I was really kind of addicted to the news of what was happening. But I found that going into my studio and just writing music or reading music would be a good deterrent, where I would be able to block out everything that was going on in the world. So I just started to write, and I just never stopped. It proved to be a really good process that brought me to another place. And I would say the evolution of my years of writing had really gone to another level with this record. And it was really intended originally to be a solo nylon acoustic record. That was the first intention, even with the record company. And it just so happens that it was that way for probably the first almost 9 months, and then I got the urge to actually overdub and make it a bigger production and add electric guitar some places, and a lot of percussion I did myself, except for the tabla. And and then I added an orchestra in Italy to some of the pieces. And the production of the record grew and grew, and it turned into a 4-year project, so it was a big work. And I wasn't thinking at all about radio or record sales. I was thinking only of art, only of something that satisfies me. This record is not for a short attention span person. And I went totally against what people are going to be able to maybe even handle. I know it because a lot of the songs are very in-depth and long. And it takes a person who has the affordability of time to sit and really focus without the distractions of things around them or their own phone. And it's not many people, I can tell you. So I know there's like pieces that are very important to me, like a measurable 1, or the 3 measurables. They're lengthy and involved. And this is the era of short attention span. So I went totally the opposite of what is perhaps the smarter thing to do. I went with the more artful thing to do. Not intentionally. It was more, it was flowing like water. It came out of me, and I liked it. It's like, this is great. I'm writing this. Okay. And then I need another part because it has to flow into another part. Okay. Right. And then by the time you're done, it's one piece is 9 minutes. 9 minutes is a lifetime for people that are used to, flipping constantly on an iPhone to the next thing. I wasn't thinking of commerciality or anything, Although I want my music to be liked, of course. I never say I don't care if people like it. No, I care that people like it. But if I like it a lot, I would think if they get the chance to hear it, they would like aspects of this record. Like somebody that likes Ava's Dance in the Moonlight might not be able to handle the complexity of Immeasurable One, let's say, I don't know. Or you'll get a guitar player who likes it all, but the normal public, this is a lot for them to consume. It's like, in some ways, it's like a classical audience can handle the length and the journey of the song, of the composition through, but it will never become commercial, but it will be beautiful art, So beautiful art overrides commerciality in this sense. However, I'd like to be surprised, and maybe there's some aspects of the record that people will like and then want to hear the rest of it.
You mentioned the radio and the mass media. Do you feel that the hunger of hits has gone to a too extreme point when it comes to the mass media?
Well, I never really had hits anyway. I'm not known as a pop star. It's just that, normally when the recording industry was in full swing, when we had record stores everywhere and everything, it was a different time in history. And record companies would expect you to finish a record at a certain date because they had pre-sales set up. And with this record, my record company is very gracious and understanding, and they said, you take all the time you want and until you're very happy with the record. I was still working with a solo acoustic budget, by the way, so I wound up going into my pocket for this record as well, because it meant a lot as an artist to do what I want to do, and then I got to a point where it's enough is enough. I could keep going. I could go another year or two and make it better, or change it, or write even more. The problem was with having more time is you wind up, even though you can make what you have better in your mind, you wind up also writing new stuff, and you want that on the record too. So then the record gets longer and longer and longer. So when I went to the record company and I said, the record's going to be I believe it's going to be a double record, I thought they were going to say, no, please, no, because double records are very hard to sell. They're more money, and and they were, instead the response was, oh, great. I was really shocked. So yeah, it's a double record, So it's 15 new, lots of pain, like every record, lots of pain, but to get to a place of pleasure,
I believe probably they were happy because, like you mentioned, this is art. This is not a product that's in the supermarket, and it's a different thing. It's the result of your spirit, in a way.
Yeah. And my spirit was, I really got to a deeper place having this point in time that was highly unique, where there was no need to go to an airport to catch a plane to a gig in Europe or anywhere else in the world. It was really a total in-depth, focused time. And I would imagine there was a lot of artists that took advantage of that. And if they have not done it, they should have, because there might not be another time like this where we're home for so long. Yeah.
And when the inspiration strikes usually? Is it at night? Is it when is it?
Yeah, at night, very, very late, very late. So my night could begin as early as 10 or 11, and I would go to 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's so quiet, and, I have an office here, and with people work here, and I have a family, and so the office is not running at that time, and my family's asleep, and the quiet is very conducive for thinking. There's no interruptions. And of course the cell phone, which is really your enemy when you're writing in the daytime, because there's too many things that you want to look at and check, or ringing, or buzzing, or beeping, So at night it's very quiet, and so I've always been a late night kind of musician,
But the album starts with Fandango, which is a very Spanish song, and I enjoyed it a lot. But what is your favorite in your album? Do you have one?
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, For Only You as a solo piece is really special, I think. Immeasurable One is the centerpiece of the record. I think that is the most important piece. Ava's Dance in the Moonlight is the most artistically enjoyable piece for a lot of reasons, because the melody is so infectious and memorable. And of course the story behind it is very nice. Fandango I think is a great opener. It really, Fandango is one of those pieces where you have imagery of, in my case, I think, when I hear it, I get visions of a majestic kind of like soaring over the mountains, that very E major, and it's just beautiful. I can imagine that with even a full orchestra. Although on that one, I did all the horn arrangements, so it was the horns really gave it the bolstered the majestic quality of the song, And I haven't worked with so much with horns, so it was a cool thing to do, and real horns, And then there's so much on this record that is intellectually and aesthetically beautiful, that I hope the attention span can get them through it and then listen to it again, because it's gonna take a few listens. I know I've sent this stuff to people, and they love it, and then you don't hear from them again, because I know it takes a lot of energy from them. So they know that to hear it again is going to take a lot of energy. Where am I going to find the time? Everybody's like so busy and everything's fast, but it is what it is.
Which one of them was more of a technical challenge?
Well, the immeasurables, all three. All three were technically very difficult. But I think they should get some praise from the classical world.
In Spain, because Guitarristas.info is based in Spain, we are so proud of having you with Paco De Lucía in the 80s and 90s. And of course, Paco is our national hero, so that matters a lot for us.
I must have been very brave at a young age to be able to invite Paco to New York City to play on my second album, Gypsy. And what we turned out, because we both have an understanding of how to play syncopated rhythms against the time or the clave. And when you have interplay like we had then, and also when we did the guitar trio, it was so magical, because we understood rhythm. Now, that doesn't make me a flamenco player. I'm not. But I am a Latin rhythmist. I understand that world extremely well. But I don't say that I am this. Paco is for sure the quintessential, greatest flamenco guy. And what makes him so great is something that no one had done before. And that is, he wanted to expand the world he was in. He wanted to step outside his comfort zone and get into a zone of where he was improvising over different types of harmony and with players that can help him grow and expand the flamenco idiom. And he did it. And he did it with pain. He did it with guts. And we also did it with the same pain and guts because we were playing with him and it was a different world. And so we all grew, the three of us, by playing with Paco. It was astonishing because you're right there with him. You're watching it and it's like, oh my God, okay, now it's my turn. Oh man, it inspires you to reach higher than your natural abilities. So we were on stage every night and trying to impress not the audience, one another. But the audience got that. They saw this kind of thing, and it was so successful, and it may be the only time it will ever happen. It's very hard to assemble three giant egos. You know what I mean?
He claims that you taught him how to improvise, though.
No, he got from us certain things. We got from him certain things. John was not the same type of rhythm guy. He came from another world, but that was good. It was good. I could look at it now and say it was good. Then it was a little bit frustrating because his sensibility came from his influence of Indian music, which tends to rush. And Paco and mine is more relaxed. It's exciting, but it was never pushed against. And our time was amazingly perfect. When it meant to be perfect. But we had that same understanding of syncopation against the time. And that's what made it magical. So when Paco and I played rhythm for John solo, it was unbelievably great. So if you could hear Paco out of one speaker, me out of another speaker, and John was center channel, you would hear this kind of understanding of this kind of clave, playing syncopation against the clave. It was beautiful, so it was a great thing. Now, what I'm doing now, because most of the beauty of the trio was in our improvisations. People don't so much talk about the songs until with the third record we made, which didn't get as much attention, but the one we made at Peter Gabriel's studio in 1995 was great. It was really a combination. It was more a balance between really good composition and soloing. It didn't get the attention of Friday Night in San Francisco, because Friday Night in San Francisco sold 7 million records. So but now, well, even after that, I had a yearning to get back to composing. We couldn't really throw in front of Paco anything too involved compositionally because he didn't read. So, John and I could read and write. So if we had a very long composition, we'd have to record it in sections. and then to remember it for a live show would be very difficult. So we tended to gravitate more towards songs that had a certain kind of head of melody, and then everybody takes long solos, and then end with the song again. But I wanted to get back to not so much long improvisations, but more composition. And as time went on, and the new record is really an example of this, it's a composing record. It's not, it's composing like this, and then the improvisation is a secondary aspect of it, but it's really a composition record.
You've made songs that gravitate towards jazz, rock, flamenco. I mean, so many things that sometimes when you read things on the internet about you, they mention jazz very often. But I think that falls short for you. So my question is, do you feel comfortable being labeled as jazz?
No. I'm not comfortable with anything. I think I'm not comfortable. If somebody says, I've heard them calling me a flamenco guitarist, and I go, what? And I said, I wish you wouldn't say that, because there's going to be people reading that and going, he's not a flamenco guitarist, and they're right. Okay. Or, God forbid, rock. I mean, but there's elements of everything that it's very hard to label what I do, except you could call it contemporary instrumental music, with world music and inflection, and that's fine. I don't care that I need to be labeled, but there's enough of jazz in this music, because when you are improvising over changes, that's jazz. That's what jazz is about. Jazz is also about interplay. So all the elements of jazz are there, but it's not jazz in the sense of it's where bebop or really old standards, where those older jazz guys, all they lived for was the solo. That's it. We do come from, especially John and myself, and Paco. Paco also has some great songs. We also come from composition,
And of course, we are a website that we talk about guitars, pedals, amps, and that stuff a lot. So this question is mandatory. Which gear did you use for your latest album?
Well, I used on the nylon side of the guitar Felipe Conde Hermanos. Felipe Conde, he right in Madrid. I specifically used that, and he has a signature model, an Meola model that is what I use, with an RMC pickup. Very important. The best pickup you can get for acoustic guitar. Antonio Ray played my guitar. He flipped out. He couldn't believe how great it sounded, because he uses only a microphone, like Paco, only a microphone. But when you're playing with other people or in a group ensemble, you have to go beyond the microphone, and use maybe a pickup RMC into what I use, which is a German-made AER amplifier. It's small. The sound is incredible. Greatest acoustic amp. And then I have, if I go electric, I went back to using my 1971 Les Paul Custom, the one I used in the beginning of my career on my first 3 albums, and with Return to Forever. And I've come across a couple of great amps. One of them is a Mad Professor, made in England. It's good, but then I found something else that was like, just unbelievable, called a 2-rock.
Oh, yeah.
The 2-rocks are what I've been using live now. Great. What else did I use? Those are that's my main.
Some pedals, maybe.
And I use those 11 reverb, those little units,
Oh, yeah.
Bit.
I know, that one. So if you had a message to give to people through your album, the message you want people to get when they listen to your album, which one would it be?
Well, the beauty in writing, because we all have very complex lives. A lot of us filled with complexity and pain and diversions of other things in the life. It's hard to focus. But I found that if the message could be like, try to learn how to read music and then thus write music. Because reading music, it doesn't have to be your music, reading or writing your music completely takes your mind off of anything that's bad going on. It's an amazing therapy that you know, people go to psychiatrists to take maybe a drug to alleviate depression. But if you want to get away from a problem, the duration of time you spend doing something that is actually also very good for you, because you're playing and you're writing and and you're reading, but it really blocks out, because you can't possibly think of these things while you're doing that. You can if you're just playing. If you're playing without looking at the music, you could still have these problems or whatever, or maybe not problems, but you might be thinking of things, but that is the best way for that, or if you must watch TV, never watch TV without your guitar.
Exactly. Oh, thank you so much. You can even start to imagine how honored we are for having a legend like you here in our channel. So thank you so much. Congratulations for your album.
Thank you very much, bud. Nice talking to you.